Welcome to Jamaica Magazine with me, your host for the day. I'm Adrian Atkinson. In a world buzzing with endless noise, it's important to pause, breathe, and focus on you. Let's now tune out the chaos and tune into getting information that is sure to stimulate you intellectually and provide you with information that is worth knowing.
Healing begins within. Take a moment for yourself. Healing is a journey. Start yours today.
Good day, I'm Twyla Whelan and this is your JS News for Wednesday, January 22, 2025. The main terminal at the Ocho Rios cruise ship pier is expected to be reopened by the start of the next cruise season in September 2025. In a statement to Parliament yesterday, Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness said every effort was being made to ensure this happens to avoid the country losing out on any vessel stops planned for the season. The terminal suffered significant infrastructure damage on February 6 last year, when a severe and unusual weather event caused a cruise ship to repeatedly slam against berth 2, which is the main pier. 2 of the 3 breasting dolphins, which is the concrete structure along the pier that supports the load of vessels moored, require complete removal and reconstruction. The rehabilitation work is being done in 2 phases. It commenced in December 2024 with the award of Contract 1, which has a projected end date of May 2025. The Prime Minister says it is estimated that Contract 2 will be awarded by the first week of February and completed in July 2025.
These contracts allow for the total reconstruction of the destroyed breasting dolphin and the enhancement of other existing mooring structures, which were determined to be marginal in capacity given the changes in vessel size since the construction of the facility in the late 1970s.
Prime Minister Holness says the contractor has been made fully aware of the critical timelines and urgency associated with restoring the facility on time.
The selected contractor for both packages is the same, and this will ensure synergies in the procurement and implementation phase. The contractor has been tasked with extending working hours along with other mechanisms such as early procurement of piles and fenders to fast-track the implementation process to achieve or meet the established completion dates.
While the work is underway, vessels originally scheduled to berth at the main terminal have been redirected to the Reynolds Terminal in Ocho Rios, as well as the Falmouth and Montego Bay cruise ship piers. Thus far, Jamaica has not lost any vessels scheduled to dock at the island's berths due to these accommodations, and the Prime Minister says this has somewhat mitigated the impact on the livelihoods of craft vendors, taxi drivers, and other traders. Cabinet has approved the appointment of Professor Dale Webber as the country's first special envoy for climate change, environment, ocean, and blue economy. Minister with responsibility for the environment, Matthew Samuda, made the announcement during yesterday's sitting of the House of Representatives. He says the pioneering role reflects Jamaica's commitment to addressing the global challenges of climate change, environmental degradation, and sustainable development. The special envoy is expected to enhance the country's representation in international negotiations and agreements.
These negotiations are far from mere talk shops. The agreements reached have had and will continue to have profound, far-reaching impact on Jamaica land we love. The increasing demand for high-level participation in not just political negotiations, but also technical meetings, means that for Jamaica to maintain its powerful voice in these spaces, we must increase our capacity to contribute significantly. This announcement today is both a signal and a first step towards this enhanced capacity.
Professor Webber is an esteemed marine biologist, conservationist, and climate change advocate. He will serve as an ambassador in this capacity, reporting directly to the Prime Minister while working closely with the Ministries of Economic Growth and Job Creation and Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade.
We are confident that he will represent Jamaica well in the many climate fora that are convened around the world, and particularly at this time.
According to his terms of reference, Professor Weber's role will include identifying projects or programs that represent sound prospects for advancing Jamaica's economic growth, environmental sustainability, and job creation agenda. He is also tasked with providing specific proposals with supporting documentation that will permit government to assess the feasibility of proposed projects or programs. The government is pursuing legislation to further promote the use of alternative dispute resolution methods such as mediation and arbitration to alleviate the burden on the courts and reduce the number of cases brought before them. Justice Minister Delroy Chuck spoke to the matter as he addressed a recent workshop hosted by the Caribbean Court of Justice at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel. In addition to plans for Mediation Act, he asserts that there should be greater utilization of the existing Arbitration Act, which facilitates the resolution of disputes in areas like international trade and commerce.
I hope before long to put in place a Mediation Act appropriately under the Singapore Convention on Mediation, and we hope that these two processes can be more utilized. I would hope that our judges, our attorneys, can play a seminal role in making this area of the hemisphere an area that we can not only resolve conflicts, but utilize all the resources to get things decided in a timely manner.
The Singapore Convention on Mediation is a multilateral treaty that offers a uniform and efficient framework for the enforcement and invocation of international settlement agreements on commercial disputes that result from mediation. In the meantime, the Minister of Justice is calling on Jamaicans to desist from resorting to violence and crime as solutions to issues. He made this call during his address at the Custos of Manchester's annual church service held at the First United Pentecostal Church in Mandeville recently.
Mothers and the girlfriends and the sisters, you have to tell those boys who are becoming gangsters to cut it out. And those of you who know of the various illegal activities such as scamming, extortion, all the wrongdoings in our country, we individually must acknowledge that we have to bring it to the notice of the police.
The minister is also encouraging law-abiding citizens to work together to reduce the spaces where wrongdoers thrive. And finally, the Ministry of Education is now implementing an Education Management Information System, EMIS, following a soft launch in December. Permanent Secretary Dr. Kassan Troop says the goal is to improve the management of educational data across the island. The system is designed to streamline the tracking of student data, including attendance and behavior.
We're going to be able to track performance in a standardized way in our system to see what is happening, and the assessment policy is being developed to guide the standardized entering of data in our platform.
The Permanent Secretary gave the update during the Education Transformation Oversight Committee, ETOC's recent press conference in St. Andrew. She says the ministry has been proactive in sensitizing schools about the new system. So far, 935 schools, 17,905 teachers, and 492,278 students have been updated on the EMIS platform. Some schools are already in the trial and testing phase.
Our students and teachers won't necessarily be sitting down and marking register with a pen. They will be walking past a device and they will be marked present in our schools.
The full rollout of the Education Management Information System is expected to take place in short order. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Twyla Whelan. Thanks for watching.
Up next, we get a 2024 recap of the major accomplishments of the business ministry.
German shipyard here in Jamaica is creating a new paradigm where productivity at the highest German level is brought here. They've been here before, but they're here this time to inject significant investment in the development of what we're looking to call the Kingston Green Climate Port.
We want to see an industry that allows for the creation of high-quality, commercially viable content, not just for domestic markets, but for global markets.
This strategic rebranding initiative represents more than a symbolic change. It signifies a profound dedication to adapting and enhancing trade services to meet the evolving needs of the business community.
It's a groundbreaking global market intelligence and compliance gateway.
Welcome to a quick guide on using JA Customs Connect, the Jamaica Customs Agency's mobile application. Today we will be focusing on downloading the app. Open the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. Search for Jamaica Customs. Tap the app's icon. It is represented by the Jamaica Customs Agency's logo. On Android devices, tap Install. On Apple devices, tap Get. If using an Apple device, you may be prompted to enter your Apple ID or Face ID. Once the app is installed, it will appear on your home screen or in your app drawer.
This treaty represents a significant advancement in promoting inclusivity and access to knowledge for one of the most vulnerable groups in our society.
Basically, what it does is it allows for the creation of accessible format books without being an infringement of the Copyright Act.
In the rapidly evolving global environment, embracing digitization, and digital transformation is necessary. As we look at the seventh decade of our political independence, I want us to understand that political independence means nothing until we can solidify and make sure sustainably we are economically independent. And that's what I'm so happy for Centerfield to be about. You are here helping us to build that economic independence that will strengthen our political independence.
With the onset of deadly house fires that have claimed the lives of one too many, learn essential carbon monoxide safety tips to protect yourself and your loved ones from this invisible danger.
It's invisible, odorless and tasteless, yet carbon monoxide claims hundreds of lives every year. Could your home be at risk?
Carbon monoxide is a poisonous gas. It will kill you. Carbon monoxide goes to your brain, it shuts off the supply of oxygen. It suffocates you.
This toxic gas builds up quickly in enclosed spaces. Without proper precautions, even a few minutes of exposure can have deadly consequences. Everyday actions like starting your car or running a generator could turn deadly if done in the wrong place.
Do not start the car in the garage and leave the car throttling. The carbon monoxide from that car will kill you in quick time. So if you have a garage, when you are going to start that car and the garage is included, please open the garage door, and hopefully, I'm hoping that the tailpipe, the exhaust will be to the back and will blow the fumes out.
It's not just cars. Other common sources of carbon monoxide include kerosene heaters, charcoal grills, gas stoves, and water heaters. Always ensure proper ventilation when using any fuel-burning appliance. Generators are another common source of carbon monoxide poisoning, particularly during power outages.
If you are sleeping and the generator is inside your house, that fume from the generator will not wake you up. That fumes will put you into a deeper sleep. It will put you into a state of unconsciousness, and you will not wake. Generators must be operated in an open area. If you have a generator room, you must provide for the ventilation. So you put the exhaust and ensure that exhaust goes outside. You don't want the exhaust of a generator to be anywhere inside where people are, because the fumes, the carbon monoxide from the generator attack your red blood cells. It takes away the oxygen.
Simply put, always open your garage doors when starting your car and ensure the exhaust is directed outside. Never use a generator indoors. Keep it at least 25 feet from your house in a well-ventilated area. Carbon monoxide detectors are your first line of defense. Install them near bedrooms, garages, and living areas. Regularly check the batteries and test the alarms. Protect your family from the silent killer. Take precautions today to prevent a tragedy tomorrow. For more safety tips, visit the Jamaica Fire Brigade website at www.jfb.gov.jm. In the event of an emergency, call 112 or 119.
The Housing Policy, Research and Monitoring Branch in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation shares information on how they plan to develop a framework to help achieve the Vision 2030 goal of having safe, sanitary and affordable housing for all Jamaicans.
I'm Paula Park, Senior Director, Housing Policy, Research and Monitoring. Okay, well, the Housing Policy Research and Monitoring Branch falls under the ambit of the Housing, Urban Renewal and Projects portfolio of the Ministry. And our strategic objective is to enable the development of suitable policy and legislative instrument towards achieving Vision 2030 goal, which is safe, sanitary, and affordable housing for all Jamaicans. So that in a broad nutshell is our objective. We're a team of 10, and we undertake core functions such as the revision and amendment of housing-related policies and legislation. We also undertake socioeconomic surveys in various communities and settlements, depending on the challenges at the time. And we facilitate our housing agencies in the development of housing solutions that redounds to the benefit of our populace through undertaking submissions for initial approvals, etc., among many other areas. Well, as you are all aware, Vision 2030 National Development Plan, the fundamental vision is to make Jamaica a place to raise families, live, work, and do business. And while housing is a component of the economy, is not only a component of the economy, but is a very critical, essential, basic need that we all have because we need adequate shelter, right? And what we do in our branch is to facilitate the provision of not just a housing unit, but adequate shelter that will redound to a better quality of life for our populace. So there are a number of policies that we work on. For example, the current National Housing Policy and Implementation Plan, which is not only a milestone for the branch, but also for Jamaica, because it's the first policy that has been finalized post-independence. But that policy document, it looks at a lot of the salient issues and challenges that we currently face in accessing housing at all levels for various segments of the society. Because it looks at the social issues in terms of, so it looks at emergency housing, it looks at affordability, it looks at housing finance, etc. And that what is laid out in the policy document are some measures or recommendations to guide the sector in facilitating access, so we get back to access to safe, legal, and affordable housing for our populace. When we look, for example, at let me begin with policy. We have a housing public-private partnership policy. This policy document is a framework that guides partnership between the government and other entities, for example, developers, in implementing or building housing solutions at an affordable rate. One such development that I can point out is Catherine Estates that a lot of persons know are very interested in acquiring. That is actually a benefit to Jamaicans, because when government is involved, then we try as far as possible to ensure that it is affordable to you as a person. That is one. We undertake socioeconomic surveys in various communities, particularly informal communities. For example, we have communities that are affected by natural disasters. We go in, we collect the necessary information, and that information is compiled in a report that would go to the various agencies and inform government intervention. So persons have benefited from that through relocation, through regularization in their communities, among other matters, and that go towards improving their quality of life. Right? That is through socioeconomic studies. And as I mentioned before, we facilitate housing developments through our housing agencies that falls under the ministry. One such agency is the Housing Agency of Jamaica Limited. We participate in the initial approvals process to have it approved so that the agency can now move forward in implementing housing solutions for our populace. One of our main achievements is the promulgation of the National Housing Policy, as I mentioned before, an implementation plan. It's our first national housing policy that has been finalized post-independence. And as I mentioned before, it speaks to salient issues and recommendations that can guide the sector in moving forward and getting us to that vision of having safe, legal, affordable housing solutions for all Jamaicans. Another one that I can mention is legislative. For many years, persons needed to come up with a 10% or 15% deposit to buy their homes. Now, when we work together to amend the Mortgage Insurance Act that is administered by our Jamaica Mortgage Bank, which falls under the ministry, that now through partnership with some financial agencies, with the financial sector, persons were able to now pay down 3% if they go to one of those institutions that partner with JMB. I can also speak to the number of solutions. For example, what makes me happy is that since we have moved away from the negotiation, necessary approval, and now implementation, for example, of Catherine Estate, it makes me happy to see that I was a part of, as a branch, we're a part of the process when somebody get their keys. And a number of persons have received their keys, particularly a lot of young people too. So that is also quite satisfying to me. We're working to build out our monitoring framework. And what gave us that platform is the promulgation again of the National Housing Policy and Implementation Plan. Because of the various recommendations and how comprehensive the document is, we're currently having stakeholder engagement sessions. So for the various areas, for example, housing supply, there's emergency housing, social housing, affordable housing, we bring together all the stakeholders that touch and concern that sector, sit with them, deliberate and see how best we can either improve the recommendation, amend the recommendation, and actually have a know as to what is happening in relation to that particular policy recommendation in Jamaica. So that is one main thing. So through that now we'll be able to build out our monitoring framework. Secondly, we look forward to development of legislation for the quantity surveyors in Jamaica. I don't know if we are aware of what they do, but they have persons that you'd go to do your bill of quantities if you're building your homes and so on, to ensure that you have the right amount of steel and cement and so on that goes into your property, because you want to ensure that when the house is built, it is resilient, yes? And there's no legislation that governs how they practice in Jamaica currently. So what happens, that persons can pretend to be quantity surveyors and they give them the job and lose their money at the end of the day, because there's nowhere for them to go and license. And we are somewhat advanced in our draft bill from the Office of the Parliamentary Council. So therefore, we're at the point now where we're working through the bill to see if we can get it back and see how quickly we can move towards tabling the bill in Parliament, so that the QS now will actually have their legislation for the first time. The government of Jamaica, through the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, is committed to the provision of access to adequate, affordable, safe, and legal housing solutions for all Jamaicans.
The Negril and Green Island Area Local Planning Authority is a local planning authority for the development order area. We straddle two parishes, Westmoreland and Hanover.
Our oceans are coming under environmental threats. There are three major environmental threats. They call it the triple planetary crisis, and there's no area of the world that is immune to these challenges. Challenge 1 is climate change. Challenge 2 is biodiversity loss. Challenge 3 is pollution. Climate change is the warming of our atmosphere. It is the changing of our weather patterns. We know that it's because of carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide being released into the environment at a rate that the environment can't absorb it. What that's causing is warming of our oceans at a rate which is frightening. It doesn't allow the organisms that live in your ocean to adapt as fast as they need to. That's one of the things that's affecting biodiversity loss in the oceans. If people use unsustainable fishing practices, then you take more fish than you need. You don't allow the oceans to replenish itself and to be as healthy as it can. So when you have people that use nets that are too small or fish out baby parrotfish, they are committing a crime in some cases, but they're actually harming the ocean that you own a part of. The third issue, which we have the capacity to deal with, is the pollution issue. To generate ocean wealth, we need to have ocean health.
We're at the end of today's show, but be sure to join us again tomorrow for another lineup geared towards providing you with information on the government's policies and initiatives for building a better Jamaica. You may visit our website, gis.gov.jm, to rewatch this show or to catch up on the others we have on the site. I'm Adrian Atkinson, telling you thanks for watching from our production team here at the GIS.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.